Hey everybody, welcome to our Green Eye Gond Pauper deck tech. Now this is a pretty sick this is a pretty sick deck. I love it. Um, it's basically like Splinter Twin but in Pauper. So it's a little less consistent, but it's a little more fun. It has different angles. Not just like Snapcaster Bolt. So without any further ado, there are 4 Blossoming Sands and 4 Selesnya Guild Gates. Just you need to fix the mana. It's important. 2 Colony Garden to kind of churn out dudes. It's important to have like green creatures on the battlefield, and Colony Garden also kind of acts as a edict nullifier, I guess. So yeah, it's a good card in general, and then a bunch of basic lands, forests and plains. In the 1-drop slot, we have 3 Gods Willing. This is to protect the combo from removal. Very important. Pretty self-explanatory there, but you also are running 8 Soul Wardens between Essence and Soul Warden. And these guys really are amazing with all the token creation effects in the deck. They really kind of extend the length of the game and make it hard for your opponents to close games. And it basically gives you time to find the combo. Really important. You have Wandering into Nowhere, and these are kind of flex slots. The Veteran Armor's Journey and Lumithread Fields are called kind of like interchangeable between the side and the main, just depending on what you think the meta is going to hold. Journey to Nowhere just exiles a creature, and then when it leaves, the creature comes back into play. Lumithread Field, it's a weird card, but it's very excellent. You can play it as a morph. It's a creature when it's a morph, but when you flip it up for its morph cost 1 and a white, it becomes an enchantment that buffs your creature's toughness. Or you can just play for 2 to buff your creature's toughness. It's quite good. Um, there are a few options. There's like a Spider Silk Threads. I forgot exactly what it's called, and it gives your dudes reach and +0/+1. Costs 3 though, so there's a bit of a penalty to getting the reach, but also can't become a creature like Lumithread Field can, but also gives all you guys reach. So there are a few spots that a few different cards that are kind of interchangeable between these Gone decks, but Lumithread Field is a good choice, and probably worth considering like a split between Lumithread and the Spider Silk Threads, or I'm just forgetting what it's called right now, but it's a good card. Veteran Armor, also another toughness boosting card, but also it's on a body, which is important because we need lots of creatures. Sprat Swarm is kind of a complex card, but basically what it says is tap 5 creatures, put a 1/1 into play. You can, and it comes back to your hand. So Convoke lets you tap your creatures to cast the spell instead of paying mana, and Buyback lets you pay an additional 3 mana as you cast the spell, and if it resolves, it returns to your hand. So you can just kind of infinitely make a little Sprat Swarm army. Really strong with Essence Wardens and Soul Wardens. Also pretty strong with any creatures just in general. And when you have like a huge board, you can just make like 3 or 4 extra dudes per turn just from the Convoke stuff. So Sprat Swarm is it's a key part of the plan B of this deck. And so is Selesnya Evangel. You basically just can pay 1 mana, tap Selesnya Evangel, and then tap another creature you control to put a 1/1 green sapling into play. Now here is the namesake of the deck, the Crux, and it's Presence of Gond attached to Midnight Guard. Now, Midnight Guard has text that says anytime a creature comes into play, untap Midnight Guard. And this says you can tap a creature to put a 1/1 creature into play. So you just basically, you can make infinite guys. It's just like Splinter Twin, except the creatures don't have haste. And so there are a few different interactions you have to do, and it's a turn slower, but it's a strong combo. Like for Pauper, it's pretty strong. So yeah, I mean this is the crux of the deck here. And then the top end, the strongest card of Plan B is Pallid Mycoderm. This card, every turn it gets a spore counter, and you can remove 3 spore counters at any time to put a 1/1 Saproling into play. And then its last ability is the most important one. Sacrifices Saproling. Each creature you control that's a fungus or a Saproling gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And you remember, both Sprout Swarm and Selesnya Evangel make Saprolings. So, a good way to kind of like create a big board and then drop a Pallid Mycoderm and swing for the win. So yeah, that's kind of the main board there. The sideboard, we have 2 more Journey to Nowhere, 1 Lumathread Field, and you side these in as necessary. You bring these in against like Ulamog's Crusher and other irritating cards that are big, that are tough to deal with. And Lumathread Field is against like most red decks and blue-black control decks. Scattershot Archer may be less necessary if you have Spider Silk Threads. God, for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called. I think it's called Spider Silk Threads, but it's less necessary because you can actually like block the creatures that have flying if you give all your dudes reach. But Scattershot Archer actually kills Delver and various other flying threats. So yeah, it's a good guy, but there are other sideboard slots worth considering. Gleeful Sabotage, good against Affinity. It's okay against Tron. I don't know, it's just important to have some artifact enchantment hidden in your sideboard. And then 3 Relic of Progenitus. Might need to bring it up to 4 because there's so many Archaeomancer decks in the format. I mean, in our last series we played against 4 Archaeomancer decks, so you may consider bringing in another one here, probably cutting like a Scattershot Archer or something. But yeah, Relic is really strong in the format, so yeah, keep that in mind going forward, and may win some more games. But yeah, that's the deck tech. I encourage everyone to play this. There are a few things that you might want to do. You might want to take some of the planes here and exchange like maybe like 2 planes for some of the white cycling basics, or some of the cycling basics that take 2 colorless instead of a white mana to cycle. Just having a high land count relative to the rest of the format is important, because green-white doesn't really get to like fix their draws like blue does, so it's important. And yeah, like I mentioned before, a 4th Relic of Progenitus could be important because there's so many Archaeomancers in the format. So yeah, I guess thanks for watching. Please check out the rest of the series. Unfortunately, I didn't have my recording on, so most of the series doesn't actually have audio. I was talking the whole time, but unfortunately none of it was recorded. But yeah, check it out, and I'll see you later. Cheers.